Hi, this is me from the future while editing this. I just wanted to make this video real quick as kind of intro for that video because I didn't like the original start of it, and so I decided to cut it all. So I just wanted to say real quick that I made this video because I struggled for like big amount of my life with low confidence and low self-esteem, and I think it's really important problem to address in today's society and today's world, because I think maybe many people may struggle from it to some extent, maybe not like to like complete extremes like I used to. But yeah, I hope like I hope people will find this video a little bit useful or a little bit cheerful, something like that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you will enjoy the video. And don't be too harsh on me, okay? It's my first time editing that. So it may not look the best, but I tried my best. See you. See you in the video. Have a nice day. I used to have really low self-confidence. I was afraid to try anything because I always would think that I will fail. And there is there's really one major downside of thinking about your life like this, and that is that you will not like succeed in anything on first try. Almost never. Like sometimes you can out of luck, but almost never you will succeed in anything that has meaning for you in life on first try. And being fearful of failure is like one of the most detrimental things that you can have for your journey in your life, because everything starts with failure, and there's really not not a great way about it around it, because that's just how it is. You have to accept it. But like this mindset of me like not caring about failure as much, it took me many years to develop actually. And it's not really that easy. It's actually a pretty slow process for you to integrate this into your way of thinking, because like my self confidence even was one of the big obstacles in me getting sober from many of the drugs that I abused, because I was usually surrounded by people that were doing these drugs also, and they only feed it into my low self esteem. Because when I always say that I want to get clean of something, they were only like laughing. Yeah, sure, bro. You are not gonna do that. You cannot make that. And I think one part of why they say these things to me is because they didn't really want me to succeed. Because if I succeeded in getting clean of meth, for example, it would show them that it's possible, and that they are not getting clean only because of themselves. And that's really, it's much more easier uh, it's much more easier to just look at things and say that it's not your fault really. But when you see someone that accomplishes what you want to accomplish, even if you don't want to accomplish it like consciously but subconsciously, it it really angers you, I think. So that's also why they say these things to me. But they only feed it into my low self-esteem, and it developed even further to a point where I was so paralyzed by doing anything that I just basically was for many years just sitting at my desk playing fucking games and doing drugs all the time. because I believed them. I believed that I cannot do it and I'm too weak for that, or whatever you want to say. But it was until I changed my environment and moved out of my father's place that I haven't met these people, that I started to realize that maybe I can do it. Maybe I should try to do it. And it was much more easier when these people were not around. That's why I always like, if I would give someone a quick advice for how to get clean, changing your environment is really like one of the quickest and more impactful ways to get sober. However, it comes with a challenge of, if you go back to that environment, you usually start doing it again if you are only focused on the environment part and not solving underlying issues that causes your addictions. But I don't want to talk about it today. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about my background around this. And to the self-confidence. What it really means for me to have like a healthy level of self-confidence is that you are willing to push through your fears and face your fears and step out of your comfort zone. That's like really a big part, for me at least, for the self-confidence, for the whole self-confidence thing. Because you will need to do that all the time in your life. And you cannot be just paralyzed when the choice is presented for you and do nothing or like run away. I used to do that all the time, and it's really fucked up way to live your life. Also, what is really important part of having healthy levels of self-confidence, for me at least, is that you do not plan your actions depending on how people will view it. Because there's always some people that won't like what you do. And I struggled with this part a lot when I was thinking about starting YouTube channel, because I was always thinking that what if people that I know see my videos? Like, what would happen? Like, it would be insane and terrible. But as I started doing videos and actually some people I know watch them, it wasn't as bad. Like, we just made fun of them because they are not so great, you know. But like this whole conception of me, people finding out my videos was so detached from reality. It was just like my manifestation of low self-esteem, that I thought it would be so terrible, but it was really nothing. And yeah, and I think this experience I experienced many times because I always had this like self-limiting belief and like low self-esteem that I couldn't do anything. And when I was forced to do it, I find out that it's not so bad and it's not so scary. So I think like part of the like being healthfully self-confident is just being brave enough to try new shit. In this part, I want to focus on I want to focus on focus, because I really think it's like, because no matter how much successes you have, if you don't focus on them and only focus on your failures, I think it's almost meaningless. So I think this is like fundamentals for it, because you can always focus on something you've done well in your life. And I'm not saying to focus on your successes and just brag about them all the time, because that's extremely obnoxious and annoying. So, but it's much more like you will get it's much more like you will try to focus on what you did good in your life and not focus on all the failures you might accumulated and all the stupid shit you done, because it's just so incredibly toxic, and it really poisons your mind if you think about like your failures all the time. There is a place for failures, and I will explain that in the later parts of the videos. I'm not saying that you should ignore your failures. I'm not saying that at all, but if you want to like focus on something that you done, it's much better to focus on things that you actually succeeded in and you did well. And it doesn't really matter how big or small the things that you are focusing on are, because like the things by themselves doesn't really have meaning, because you will give it meaning. You will give the things meaning. You even give, and that's like the whole thing about this, because you will give meaning to your failures much more if you focus on them. And that's not really what you want to do. But if you focus on your successes and your accomplishments, even if they are small or they, like for other people, they don't have any meaning, but you will give them meaning because they are part of your life and they are meaningful for you. So don't be afraid to focus on like small successes if you are like, for example, at the start of your journey to self-improve. It comes down all to if you have more proofs of your failures than your successes. And by focusing on your successes, you will not see failures as much, and it will help you with your self-confidence. I can assure you that. If you will try almost anything new, you will experience failures. And that's just how life is, because that's how you learn actually. Like you learn by failing lots of times. And yeah. So it's much more important for you to not feel bad about your failures. And you really need to expect failures when you are trying new things. I think that's like one of the best things to learn, that when you want to try something new, you expect to fail at it many times. And that's how I see most of the actions I do nowadays. But it took me a long time to actually think this way, to see it this way. Because, for example, I'll give you an example that's really close to mine. Because when I first wanted to get clean out of from all the drugs that I did, I felt many times. I felt almost all the time. I managed to like get clean for 3 days, then I relapsed, and it was like this for like at least few years, like 2 to 3 years. It was like this frequent relapse. And at the time I was like so depressed about it, because I had it like I had this like grandiose idea of me just saying I'll stop, and then me stopping, because I was like in this space of people thinking that yeah, you just say no and just fucking do it, just do it. But this advice was not usable for me. It was not really beneficial for me, because I tried as many times I tried, I failed as many times. Yeah, yeah. Every time I tried, I failed, and that's really like it fucks up you mentally, because you see yourself as this like person that's not capable of doing what he said he will do. And like, trust me, that's not really a great place to be in. Like, if you cannot trust yourself, that's the worst. But I failed to realize at the time that all of these failures actually, because I saw it as that the failure by themselves is like me setting setting all of the shit to zero and starting over again. But it's not like that. The thing is that even if you relapse many times and you try many times, you are always at a better place than when you started, even if you relapse, because you managed to actually be like 2 days sober, and it was actually, if I focused on like this little success of mine at the time, because for me at the time it was like 2 days was pretty good actually, because I was not sober I was doing drugs every day. So like at least 2 days when you are sober, that's actually a pretty good accomplishment. But I only saw it as failure. That's why I want you to try like shift your way of thinking a little bit, because failures are just, I mean, they are just stepping stones at the process of the process. Like it's not like, if I would give you like example, if you are like going up the stairs and you can say that like at the top is your goal and at the bottom is where you start. So for me, relapses are not like you are falling down. It's much more like that you are stopping at the step that you stop. So when you want to start again, you are much more better off than you were before. But I think people fail to realize that, and I fail to realize that a lot, and they just lose hope at some point of the journey. And that's the worst thing that you can do. Like, stop trying, because then you will for sure never reach your goal. And that's a given. But if you will try and try again, you might reach it at slower pace, but you will reach it in the end. Like, it might take much more time, but yeah, it will take much more time, but like you will reach it. You will get sober, like start your own shit, like whatever you want, whatever the goal is. You just have to learn how to love the failure, because I think like one of the reasons why I fell in love with failure is that it forces me to actually think about the problem much more. I think I actually learn much more from failures than from successes, because I see something fail and then I start thinking about how can I do it differently? Should I do it differently? How can I do it better? What is I start to work different angle. And I think this is really great part about it, because it promotes your creativity, and like every person has what's the fucking word, has potential to be creative. And by overcoming your failures, I think it promotes your creativity really, really greatly, because you are constantly trying to figure out how to do it better, how to do it differently, and shit like that. Yeah. Yeah, I would like you to see failure as, rather than as like something bad. I would like you to see it as a rather blessing, because it gives you chance to try it something somehow different, which will grow your personality and character. So that's why I actually like to fail. I fail all the time. Like, my videos are most of the time pretty horrible, but I will try. I will not stop trying, and I will try to do them better every time. And I hope this video is much better than the rest of mine. this advice is really great for building self-confidence. It will just take time, and I am usually much more inclined to like slow and slow but like really beneficial ways rather than quick and easy ways to gain self-confidence, because you can fake self-confidence, but the thing about that is that I think self-confidence is really not something you should fake, because what is really is for me that it's something that comes from within you, and working on you is uh, much more better investment for your time than just focusing on how to look fucking self-confident in front of people. Because really what self-confidence is for me is that how you feel in your life, and how confident you feel with your way of living. And if you can manage to better your life and to accomplish your goals that you are giving yourself, and to do like hard shit that that is that is like really difficult for you, I think self-confidence will come on its own. It's one of these things that you should really not focus on the thing itself, but rather things around it. What I really want to emphasize in this video is that you should not focus on the self-confidence itself. I think it's one of these things that are much more better solved by solving all of the underlying causes that cause your low self-esteem, which can be anything, because it's really individual way to look at things, because it's your life and it's your brain and how your brain perceives you. So you should really try to focus on things that you know you want to do or you must do, and that are really hard, but you must do them. I'm fucking losing my words here. You must do them. What the fuck is the word? Yeah, you must do them in spite of them being hard. And like this leads me to this part of the video when I want you to do hard things. And doing hard shit will actually boost your self-confidence like nothing else, because you will gather enough evidence for you to see yourself as different person. Like if you have problems with it, it can usually mean that you have not really great life or not really great way of living, and you see yourself as someone who is less than others. And by accomplishing hard goals that you set up for yourself, I think you can like change this self-limiting view of yourself into something much more better, something much more into person that you actually admire. You need to like build yourself up to so you can admire yourself. And by saying that, I don't mean to be like fucking narcissistic prick that only fucking look at himself in the mirror for 3 hours a day. I just want you to love yourself. And and I think really one of the great tools for changing your own self, on your view of yourself, is doing really hard things that are hard for you. And I really want to wait. What I wanted to say before this can be summarized in 2 words that I got from Miyamoto Musashi's Book of Five Rings, which I I think I will make a little bit of review video about it in later, sometimes actually. But I really, I really liked how he had said it, but I cannot just find the fucking right passage. So he talked about how way of strategy for a warrior is choosing death when there is choice between life and death. You should always choose death. And I don't know how he meant that. Maybe he meant it quite literally, because in his day and age, like, it was pretty ruthless, ruthless times. But I think in modern day you can see it as choosing one thing you want to do the least, and you have to do or you want to do. And this spoke to me very greatly, because I for like 2 years I've been wanting to make YouTube channel and start making videos, but it was literally death for me to start speaking. I couldn't fucking get sound out of my mouth. So it took me like 2 years to finally choose my own death, like the thing I feared the most, that was other people seeing my shortcomings and insecurities, until I read this book and I thought to myself that maybe I should choose death more often. And I don't mean it fucking literally, okay? Don't fucking kill yourself. That's not the point I'm trying to make. I'm trying to make a point that I think there is something in everyone's life that he knows he needs to do, and it's so hard to do it. It's like the hardest thing you can do in your life, and that means it's like almost like death for them. It's like they see it as dying in social sense, I think, much more, because they will not die literally, but they think that they will die like by shame, like, which is like most of the times it's not even true. And that's why I think it's really great, great advice for people, like, choose death, because you will find out that the thing you thought was your death is not as bad actually, and you can only find that out if you try it. So yeah, that's like the gist of what I'm trying to say in this part. Also, like, one of the things that is really important about is that most of the times, like, the hardest things are the ones which will give your life most meaning in long term, and you just need to force yourself to do them and fail enough times until you are satisfied with the way you are. And for me it was like that. Like the hardest thing was for me was making YouTube channel and recording videos in language that is not my mother tongue, and to place myself on the internet for people to criticize me, and it was my death. And I chose it, and I found out that it's actually much more meaningful for my life to give advice to people that might be in bad place in their life. So for me it worked greatly, and from that point on I always try to, like, see what is the one thing I want to do the least, and I do it and see if it's meaningful for me or not. And usually it's just like things you want to do the least, you usually need most to do it. It's like your brain is telling you it. Like, your brain is not stupid. I think, like, subconscious is really smart in its own way, because it forces you through depression or anxiety or shit like that to change your way of living, like to do things you need to do. And I think that's how you grow most as a person, by doing hard things that are hard for you and overcoming them. Yeah. Because if you are having problem with self-confidence and low self-esteem, whatever, and you actually pull through it and you accomplish lots of stuff, and it will give you proof of your of your value, you can say, to society. There is one trap that you can fall into, and I actually did fall into when I had some successes, and that is being arrogant asshole about it. Because for me, when I stopped doing most of the drugs, I almost it's like this like false arrogance, because at the time that it happened, I saw myself as someone who is better than all of my friends that are still doing drugs. But in reality, I was not much better. I was still like struggling with money, like leeching off my mother, and I was still a real piece of shit. It just and it took me much more longer to realize that, because I was always thinking that, yeah, I'm so much better than everyone. I stopped doing math. I stopped doing this. I stopped doing this. I'm not smoking as weed as much. But it was always a humbling experience for me when I relapsed on weed or something like that, because then I saw that maybe I'm not as perfect, And I want you to emphasize this part of the video, because being healthily self-confident is great. That's like great. It's really best. But being fucking arrogant asshole that nobody fucking likes to hang around, it's not really that great. Like you will lose lots of people in your life. Nobody will want to be around guy that keeps talking about how he's great, how he's better than everyone else. And like there's night and day difference between having healthy levels of self-confidence and being arrogant asshole. Because like you need to be a little bit humble. Like I know what I'm trying to say here is a little bit against each other, the ideas, but that's what I try to preach all the time. Because I think, in my opinion, life is about balance. And if you are too overconfident or not enough, that's problem. You need to be just in the middle. Because it's always like everything in excess is bad. And I think like real magic of trying to live your life best is trying to keep balance between all the habits and all the shit you do. Because it's really easy when you've been like at the bottom in your own personal hell, and when you get out of that, it's really easy to start seeing yourself as someone better, because you went through a lot of shit and you managed to pull through. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be happy about these things. It helped me really well with my own self-confidence to see that I managed to stop doing lots of things that were detrimental for me. I'm just saying to not be fucking asshole about it, okay? It's like it can be really easy to fall into that, so be aware of that. And yeah, always seek balance in everything, I guess. And I think this is enough for this video. I will make more, I don't know when, but it's just the way I work. I think next week or something, I'll keep you updated. See you in the next one, and have a nice day.